Imagine a world where the history books are lying to you, where your doctor is maybe a little behind the curve.
And where the only thing you can really trust is, well, the size of a Russian mystic's pickled anatomy.
It sounds like a total conspiracy theorist's fever dream, but it's actually the roadmap for our deep dive today.
It is a wild map, isn't it? We are unpacking a sprawling, really chaotic, but genuinely fascinating conversation between Joe Rogan and the comedian Bert Kreischer.
And look, before you ask why are we doing a deep dive on two comedians talking in a man cave, it's because whether you love them or you hate them, this conversation is a perfect case study in modern skepticism.
It really is. It's about how we decide what's true in, 2026.
Exactly. We aren't just recapping jokes here.
No, not at all. We're looking at these three distinct pillars they cover. Biohacking the body to escape aging.
Then there's the total revisionism of American history.
And finally, the bizarre economics of cancel culture.
It's a trip. I mean, we're going from red light therapy to Watergate, and somehow we end up with lucid dreaming. So let's just get into it.
Let's dive in.
Okay, so I want to start with the physical stuff. Segment one is all about biohacking the senses. These guys are obsessed with fixing themselves, but it felt different than just eat your veggies.
Oh,
Is that-
completely. This isn't about maintenance at all. It's about optimization through technology.
Yeah.
The headline here is red light therapy.
Okay.
Bert Kreischer starts off with this very specific, very relatable complaint. He can't read the shampoo bottles in the shower anymore.
I felt that one. To be fair, that's a valid grievance. Why is the font on conditioner bottles always size 4? It's like a secret?
It's a conspiracy against anyone over 40.
Yeah.
But Bert's solution isn't, get stronger glasses or buy different shampoo.
No, it's fix the eyes.
Exactly. He claims he started using a red light bed every single day. And the way he tells it, it's miraculous. He says he went from squinting to reading the fine print with no glasses at all.
Okay, hold on. Is there actually science to that, or is Bert just seeing what he wants to see? I mean, he's a bit of a storyteller.
Well, and that's the interesting dynamic. Rogan doesn't just nod along. He immediately pulls up an AI app, Perplexity, to fact-check it in real time.
Right. And notice that shift. They don't say, I asked my ophthalmologist. They say, I asked the algorithm.
Yes.
Right.
It's this kind of democratized diagnosis. You bypass the whole waiting room and go straight to the cloud.
And what did the cloud say?
The AI apparently confirmed that red light can stimulate mitochondria in the retina, potentially helping with age-related decline. But it's the speed of belief that's so interesting. They go from one anecdote to this is a fact in 10 seconds.
They trust the tech.
More than they trust the traditional medical establishment, it seems.
And speaking of trusting tech over tradition, they pivot pretty hard to sleep hygiene. This is where things get a little strange.
Little Hannibal Lecter, yeah.
Talk to me about hostage tape.
Right. So Rogan admits he sleeps with a mouthpiece, which is, normal enough. But he also tapes his mouth shut with a product that is literally called hostage tape.
I have to ask why. It sounds like a panic attack just waiting to happen. If I woke up with my mouth taped shut, I think I'd lose my mind.
The logic, though, is actually based on some real physiology.
Okay.
Rogan starts reading off the data.
Mm-hmm.
The whole argument is that mouth breathing is a stressor. It dries you out. It keeps your body in a low-level state of alert.
Okay.
But nose breathing, that's different. It filters the air, and, crucially, it boosts nitric oxide production.
Nitric oxide. That's the stuff in workout supplements, right? For the pump.
It's the same compound,
Yeah.
just a different context.
Yeah.
In your sinuses, it improves oxygen uptake, and it activates the parasympathetic nervous system.
That's the rest and digest mode.
Exactly.
You-
So Rogan's argument, and he is adamant about this, is that 5 hours of tape sleep is more restorative than 8 hours of mouth-breathing sleep
Mm-hmm.
because the quality is just so much deeper.
So the takeaway isn't just go buy some PAPE. It's this underlying philosophy that your body's default settings, like breathing through your mouth when you're congested.
Are wrong.
Yeah. That's the key insight. It's a total rejection of the natural aging process. They see the body as this machine that's breaking down, and they believe they can engineer their way out of it.
It's bro science for sure, but it's a bro science that's driven by this desperate need for control. They want to hack their own biological code.
Okay, so they don't trust their bodies to age gracefully, but that lack of trust seems to bleed into everything else. And this next segment, it really blew my mind. We go from biological truth to historical truth.
This was the heavy hitter for me. They start discussing how narratives, the stories we tell about our lives, our history, are so malleable they can just be rewritten.
And they start with a personal example from Bert that is just, it's hilarious, but also kind of revealing. He talks about an interview he did with Shannon Sharp.
Right. So Shannon Sharp is interviewing Bert, and he sets up this big dramatic question. He asks him, Bert, what was it like when you lost everything, when you were at rock bottom and had to build it all back?
And the truth is, Bert never lost everything.
Never happened. He had a few TV deals fall through, maybe a slow year here or there, but he was always working, always making money. He never hit rock bottom.
So why didn't he just say that? That seems like a pretty big thing to just let slide.
Bert says he's so non-confrontational, he just went with it.
No way.
Yeah, he's sitting there on this massive podcast, just nodding along, saying, yeah, it was tough. I really had to focus. He let the lie become the record.
Because the lie was a better story.
That's it.
That is profound, though. The whole redemption arc is sexy. Guy does consistently okay for 20 years. That's boring, so they perform the fake story.
Exactly. And Rogan takes that realization that the official record can just be a fabrication we all agree on, and he applies it to the U.S. government, specifically Richard Nixon.
Right. This is where we get into some serious historical revisionism. They bring up this theory that Nixon wasn't the villain we all think he was.
It's a theory he attributes partly to conversations with Tucker Carlson. And the premise is that Watergate wasn't about a corrupt president getting caught by brave journalists.
It was a coup.
It was a coup by the intelligence community. The theory goes that Nixon was secretly threatening to investigate the CIA's role in the JFK assassination.
Okay.
So the deep state, the FBI, and the CIA decided to remove him before he could expose them.
And they frame the famous reporter Bob Woodward in a really specific light here. Usually Woodward's the hero of American journalism.
Not in this story.
Yeah.
They point out that before he was a reporter, he was a naval intelligence officer. And his big secret source, Deep Throat, was Mark Felt.
The number 2 guy at the FBI.
Right. So Rogan asked the question, was this journalism? Or was it an intelligence operation that was just using the press as a weapon?
It totally flips the script. Instead of journalism speaks truth to power, it's spies use journalism to change the regime.
And to back this up, they use this pop culture reference that I found surprisingly effective, Bill Murray.
I loved this connection. It's so random, but it totally makes sense. Walk us through the Bill Murray logic.
So Bill Murray was best friends with John Belushi. Bob Woodward wrote that famous biography of Belushi called Wired. According to Rogan, Murray read that book and just said it was total fiction. It didn't capture his friend at all. It was basically a hit piece.
So Murray's logic is, if Woodward lied about Belushi,
right,
then maybe he lied about Nixon. Murray allegedly told Rogan, oh my God, they framed Nixon. It just shows you how fragile our trust in history is. You pull one little thread.
Like a bad biography of a comedian.
And the whole tapestry of the 20th century starts to unravel for these guys.
And once that thread is pulled, they go all the way.
Yeah.
We have to talk about Helen Keller.
Oh, man. We have to.
Bert goes full conspiracy theorist here.
Yeah.
He does not believe Helen Keller was deaf and blind. It sounds absurd, I know. But you have to look at why he thinks this. He's looking at the output. Books written, speeches given, flying a plane. And he's saying that is physically impossible for someone with those disabilities.
He thinks she was a grifter.
He thinks she was a prop for her handler, Ann Sullivan. They get into this idea that Sullivan was controlling the whole narrative, the money, and that Keller's handwriting looked exactly like Sullivan's.
Wow.
They even mention a silent film where she supposedly flies a plane, which they think is just, theater.
It's deeply cynical. But Rogan counters this skepticism with something that is, physically undeniable.
We have to talk about Rasputin.
The Mad Monk of Russia. Rogan brings this up to prove that history is bizarre. He talks about Rasputin's genitals, which are allegedly pickled in a jar in a museum somewhere.
It's such a stark contrast. Bert is doubting the intangible, like Helen Keller's skills, and Rogan is grounding history in the most tangible thing possible.
Rogan is marveling at the sheer size of it. But the insight here isn't just about the jar. It's about why Rasputin had so much power.
The healing, right, with the Tsar's son.
Yes,
the Tsar's son had hemophilia. When he'd start bleeding, Rasputin would come in, pray, and the bleeding would stop. Rogan points out what was likely happening. Rasputin just kicked the doctors out.
And the doctors were giving the kid aspirin.
Exactly. At the time, aspirin was a wonder drug, but it's a blood thinner. It was making the boy worse. So by removing the so-called experts, Rasputin saved him.
But the story became Magic Monk.
Right, and it's that same theme again. The official expert advice was killing the patient, and the crazy outsider had the answer, even if for the wrong reasons.
That circles right back to the biohacking, doesn't it? Don't trust the doctors, trust the results.
It's the unifying theory of the whole thing. The expert class is always viewed with suspicion.
Okay, so if history is fake and doctors are wrong, what about the media we consume today? This brings us to segment 3, cancel culture. But they have a really different take on it, the Streisand effect.
This is a recurring theme for comedians, but they provide some staggering numbers here. The argument is that in the algorithm era, scandal is just another form of currency.
They use Shane Gillis as the prime example. He gets hired by SNL, the internet digs up old jokes, he gets fired. By any traditional standard, his career is over.
He should be working at a coffee shop,
Yeah.
right? But Rogan argues it was the best thing that ever happened to him. Because he was fired, everyone Googled him, they watched his stand-up to see what the fuss was about.
You realize, hey, this guy is actually funny.
So the cancellation just acted as this massive free marketing campaign.
And Rogan backs this up with his own experience, right? The Spotify thing with Neil Young, when everyone was supposedly deleting the app because of his misinformation.
Hard to forget, it was headline news for weeks. Artists were pulling their music.
Total media firestorm.
Rogan claims that during the absolute peak of that bad press, he gained 2 million subscribers in 1 month.
2 million?
Yeah.
That's the population of a small country.
It just proves their hypothesis. Controversy invites curiosity. And if the underlying product is compelling, the mob trying to silence you is actually just funneling people right to your door.
It really suggests that gatekeepers are dead. You can't shame someone out of existence if the audience decides they still want to listen.
Correct. But there's a flip side to all this mind expansion. We've talked media, history, health. Let's talk about the actual frontier of the mind. Segment 4 gets into dreams. And honestly, this part gave me the creeps.
You mean the alien dream?
That and the tech that comes before it. Rogan brings up this startup that claims it achieved two-way communication between lucid dreamers.
So 2 people are asleep, they know they are dreaming, and they're sending messages to each other using sensors.
It totally blurs the line between internal imagination and external reality. It's straight out of Inception.
Which is exactly what Rogan's dream was about.
Right.
He describes this encounter, and he's not laughing when he tells it.
No, he's deadly serious. He describes meeting these beings, tall, thin, no muscle tone, no genitals, and they were joking with him, trying to put him at ease, but he felt this thin barrier.
That's the phrase that stuck with me. A thin barrier protecting humanity from some horrific danger.
What's fascinating isn't just the content of the dream, it's his reaction to it. He didn't write a joke about it. He didn't just roll over and go back to sleep.
He woke up at like 3:30 a.m., physically shaken.
And what did he do?
He went to the gym. He worked out for 2 hours in the middle of the night in silence.
He had to physically process it. It goes right back to that theme of grounding. When your mind goes somewhere terrifying or uncertain.
Whether it's aliens or just anxiety.
The response is to punish the body, to feel something real.
Which leads us perfectly to the final segment, the inner bitch.
This is classic Rogan, but Bert adds a really nice nuance to it. They're discussing the toxicity of the internet, specifically why people leave hateful comments online.
They bring up Whitney Cummings getting attacked for making a joke about a YouTuber for toddlers, Mrs. Rachel.
Right. And Mrs. Rachel is this incredibly wholesome creator, billions of views, teaching kids to say, Mama.
Yeah.
And the internet mob just went after Whitney for lightly poking fun at her.
And Bert's take is brutal. He calls the people leaving these comments mentally ill slobs. He argues that happy, successful people just don't have the time or the desire to try and destroy strangers online.
And Rogan connects this to evolutionary biology. He says, we are designed for struggle. We're designed to hunt, to build, to survive.
So his theory is, if you remove that physical struggle, if you just sit on a couch with endless food and safety, your brain doesn't just relax.
It malfunctions. It manufactures anxiety and conflict because it has nowhere to direct that hunter-gatherer energy.
So the troll is just a hunter with nothing to hunt.
That's a great way to put it. So Rogan's solution is the inner bitch philosophy. You have to manufacture the struggle yourself. You have to force yourself into the cold plunge at 35 degrees. You have to lift the heavy weight.
He talks about breaking the ice off the top of his tub. He says his inner voice is just screaming, don't do it, we'll be fine without it. And he does it anyway, specifically to conquer that voice.
It's controlled suffering. And by conquering that physical challenge, you silence the mental chatter.
And Bert's version is a little softer, but it's the same principle. Chickens.
The karma-free food.
Yes. Bert talks about how his family is happiest when they're gardening and raising chickens. He describes lifting rocks to feed bugs to the birds. It's tangible. You put in work, you get an egg.
It's such a sharp contrast to the internet, right?
Right.
In Twitter, you put in work on a comment, and you get nothing but dopamine and anger. With the chickens, you get dinner.
It's real.
Real physical effort, whether it's freezing in an ice bath or cleaning a chicken cooping, it grounds you in reality.
And that, I think, is the ultimate takeaway of this entire deep dive.
Summarize it for us. We've covered a lot of ground.
Okay, think about the thread we've pulled. They don't trust the history books on Nixon. They don't trust the official narrative on their own careers. I mean, Bert just lets the lie happen. They don't trust the medical establishment to fix their eyes or their sleep.
So everything official is suspect.
Right. And in a world of deepfakes, revised history, and algorithm-driven outrage, the only thing that remains true is what you can physically feel. The cold water of the ice bath, the tape on your mouth, the egg in your hand.
That is a powerful place to land. We're living in a time where truth is so slippery that the only thing you can really hold on to is the struggle you choose for yourself.
And maybe the occasional red light bed.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. So, here's our question for you to chew on. If a history book can be wrong about a president and the internet can be wrong about a comedian's entire life, how much of your own biography is just a story you've agreed to believe because it was easier than the truth?
Something to sleep on, maybe with the tape on.
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. We'll catch you next time.